Have you ever used an app that just felt right? It just worked. Or on the flip side, one that made you want to throw your phone across the room. Well, that difference isn't an accident. It is all by design. And today we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible science that shapes pretty much our entire digital lives.
So to start, I want you to just think back with me to this morning. What was the very first piece of technology you touched? For most of us, I'm guessing it was probably the sound of an alarm.
You know that moment, right? You're half asleep, you reach for your phone. Is it a super easy, intuitive swipe to get just a few more minutes of sleep? Or is it a fumble in the dark that ends with you accidentally turning the alarm off completely? That single, tiny interaction can literally set the tone for your whole day. And this contrast, it shows two completely different realities. On one side, you've got a morning where technology is just a series of frustrating hurdles. You dismiss your alarm by mistake, the coffee maker's interface is a total puzzle, and the bus app is so confusing you end up missing your ride. But on the other side, everything just flows. You intuitively snooze, the coffee is one perfect touch away, and the app shows you exactly where your bus is in real time.
The massive difference between that frustrating morning and that seamless one, it isn't luck. It's an entire field of study dedicated to making technology work for people. It's called human-computer interaction, and it's basically the secret language between you and all your devices.
So what exactly is human-computer interaction? Or HCI, as you'll often hear it called. Let's break it down into its simplest parts. It's actually not as complicated as it sounds. To put it simply, HCI is the field that brings together all these different experts, psychologists, designers, engineers, all in one room to figure out one big thing. How do we make that conversation between us and our technology better, smoother, and just way more efficient? And this whole big, complex field, it really just boils down to three simple parts that exist in every single interaction you have with any piece of tech.
First, and honestly most importantly, is the human. See, HCI doesn't just see a generic user. It considers our psychology, our cognitive abilities, like how we think and learn, and even our emotional state at the time. It asks, who is actually using this? Where are they? And what are they trying to do? I mean, a surgeon in an operating room and a kid playing a game on a tablet, they need completely different designs, right?
Second is the computer. And don't let the word fool you, we are not just talking about laptops here. In the world of HCI, a computer is any device we interact with. Your phone, your smartwatch, the ATM, your car's dashboard, even your smart home assistant. If it's got a processor and you can interact with it, it's part of this equation. And that brings us to the third part, the interaction itself. The absolute best way to think of it is as a dialogue, a conversation. You give a command, a tap, a click, a voice command, and the computer gives you feedback, a visual change, a little sound, a vibration. Good interaction, it feels like a smooth, effortless conversation where you both understand each other. Now, you might be thinking this is all about convenience, about making things a little nicer. But getting this dialogue right isn't just a luxury. It has some really serious, real-world consequences. I mean, bad design leads to real economic loss when frustrated customers just abandon their confusing online shopping carts. It causes daily stress for millions. And in really high-stakes fields like medicine or aviation, a poorly designed interface can lead to catastrophic errors. But on the flip side, good design, it increases productivity, it builds intense brand loyalty, and, this is so important, it ensures that technology is accessible to everyone, including people with disabilities. Okay, so inside this world of HCI, there are two terms you'll hear thrown around all the time. They're related for sure, but they are not the same thing. Usability and user experience. Let's untangle these two. The difference, when you get right down to it, boils down to two really simple questions. Usability asks, can I actually do the thing I'm trying to do? User experience, or UX, asks a much bigger, more emotional question. How did this whole process make me feel? Let's break that down. Usability is all about the raw functionality. Is it efficient? Is it easy to use? User experience, on the other hand, is the whole journey. So think about two food delivery apps. One might be perfectly usable. You can find a restaurant, you can order food, it works. But the user experience on another app might be totally delightful with beautiful photos and this clear progress tracker that just makes you feel excited and confident about your order. That feeling, that's the difference. To make it even more concrete, usability expert Jakob Nielsen broke it down into 5 key components. A designer would ask, how easy is it for brand new users to learn? How quickly can people get things done once they know how to use it?
If you step away for a month and come back, can you remember how it works? How does it handle errors? Does it help you fix them? And finally, is it just pleasant to use? Now compare that to the 7 factors of user experience. You can see right away it's so much broader. It includes usability, of course, but it adds all these other layers, like, is it desirable? Do people actually want this thing? Is it findable? Can people easily navigate to what they need? Is it credible and trustworthy? And maybe most importantly, does it provide real value to the person using it?
So, the big question is, how do designers and developers actually achieve good usability and create a great user experience? Well, they follow a philosophy that kind of flips the script on how we traditionally build things. It's called user-centered design. And instead of a bunch of smart people in a room just guessing what people want, this approach says, nope, we are going to put the user at the absolute center of everything we do, from the very first idea to the final product. And this follows a simple but really powerful cycle. First, you have to deeply understand the people you're designing for, their goals, their frustrations, their environment. Then, you specify what their actual needs are. Only then do you start designing potential solutions. And finally, and this is the most critical part, you evaluate those designs with real people to see what works and what really doesn't. But it doesn't stop there. Here's the real magic. It's a loop. Based on that feedback from real users, you go back, you refine the design, you test it again, you iterate. You repeat this cycle over and over and over until the solution truly solves the user's problem in a way that's both effective and enjoyable. So here's what I want to leave you with. The next time you use an app, or order food online, or even just use a kiosk at the airport, just take a second and look at it through this new lens. Ask yourself, can I feel the user at the center of this design? Was this made for me? And I promise, you'll start to see this hidden language of design absolutely everywhere.